Still basking in the glory of becoming world champions, we now set our targets on two new goals. Goal number one, become the number one ranked team in the world. Number two, win the Euros. And of course, as is already tradition in this series, we're playing Ireland as well, because it's all we ever seem to do. Hello and welcome to part 12 of It's Coming Home, not that one. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, it's actually a Nations League qualifier against Ireland. I forget that international football works differently now, and we don't go straight into the Euros qualifiers now. But of course we are the holders of the Nations League from the last time it happened. Do we not get to see a history? That seems weird. We did win it last time, I promise, so we want to defend that. And we're in a group with Ireland and Croatia, so we're going to play against Ireland. We also have a friendly against Mexico. We have a Mexican or two at home, I think. There you go, Yamin is Mexican. I knew we had a Mexican, at least one. So we're going to play a friendly against Mexico as well. I know I don't normally show friendlies, but it's the way the Nations League is. Obviously, I don't want to just do a one-match episode again, because the last time I did that a couple of seasons ago, there were riots. So we'll do Ireland and Mexico in this one. The next England episode will be Croatia and Ireland, and then we'll stick another friendly in there. I mean, I think we probably owe it to our pursuit of the world rankings to try and play Brazil again and beat them again, because the more often we beat Brazil, we can't. We need to play against someone good then. So let's play Germany there. We need to play against good teams and beat them to try and get to number one in the world rankings. Hopefully, though, we make it through the Nations League qualifiers relatively easily, get through to the finals next summer, and retain the trophy. And the big news is Kevin Williamson is still in the England squad. I know I threatened to not play him again after the World Cup, but, you know, you all saw that World Cup final performance. How could this man not still be in our England squad? He's now 33 years old, but has started the season as a starter for Tottenham again. He's scoring goals for Tottenham. He's playing well for Tottenham. Kevin Williamson will just keep going forever and ever and ever. What I have realised is I haven't actually picked my team. This is still the World Cup final team. So one moment while I decide how we're going to play against Ireland. Are we just going to go back? After all that tactical experimentation in the World Cup, are we just going to go back to the 4-3-3 all the time now? And there is a very familiar look about this 4-3-3 as well. No new faces in that lineup. That is 11 players that you're very familiar with at this point if you've been watching this series. And if you haven't been, it's weird that you're watching now. But we're going with Powell in goal, a back four of Page, Williams, Ashworth and Goff. Home star Goff. I'm going to still play him at fullback for England most of the time. Shaw, Nixon, Smith in midfield, and then Stuart Thompson with Wilson and Williamson up front. Remember, we do still have the other Tom. Is it Chris Thompson? I think that's his name. Plus, we've got 6 strikers in the squad again, because we're England and all of our strikers are good. So we have to keep playing them all. But hopefully we can go out there and put on a dominant performance against Ireland. If we don't, then we might fully abandon the 4-3-3 now. We barely used it in the World Cup. I think we used it maybe for one half of football at the World Cup. But that was more to do with rotating players and trying to manage fitness and all that kind of stuff. Whereas in these, not one-off games, but these games that take part during the regular season, fitness is fine. And it seems to make sense to me to play our best players. And our 5 best players, Goff is probably our best player, star rating wise. But after Goff, our next 4 best players are Williamson, Wilson, Thompson and Thompson. So playing any less than 3 strikers seems like a bit of an insult to them. You've got to give them the opportunity to play. That being said, we're 33 minutes in, we're struggling for possession, and we've not created anything. We've not even created a highlight yet. So maybe we'll abandon that plan fairly soon. I think we have to come away from the 4-3-3 for the second half. That might be the last you ever see of the 4-3-3. We might have to get back to World Cup style experimentation. So dressing room wise, we're not happy with that at all. We're the world champions, and that was poor in that first half. So what we're going to do to mix things up, we are going to go to, I don't want to do that. That's too negative. I want to do the one we haven't even got loaded. We're going to go to the 4-2-3-1, which we used a few times at the World Cup. and we're going to stick Goff further forward, obviously. Williamson can play as a complete forward. Wilson can probably play out on that wing. I can live with that, I think. Just shuffle those lot around in the midfield. I don't want you to be a ball in the midfield. That's why it doesn't work. There we go. So we'll go with Smith and Nix in midfield. Shaw can make way for Potts, who I hope I've called up into the squad. I have. There you go. So Potts can come on there. And Stuart Thompson is the man who misses out at right back to bring Hubbard on to play at right back. And we'll go with this. Something a little bit different for the second half. See if this is going to be a little bit more effective at trying to break down Ireland, because we were really poor in that first half, and I want this England team to understand I don't stand for that nonsense. If we're going to be poor, we're going to shuffle things around. We did it at the World Cup. It's the new way of doing things at England. I don't do it at club level, but for whatever reason, I've got a suspicion that in international football there is Ollie Steers playing for Ireland. Wow. I have a suspicion that in international football there's less tactical familiarity importance. I think it works more like FM touch. I could be making that up, but I do feel like there's less of you get penalised more at club level for constantly switching back and forth between systems, whereas internationally there doesn't seem to be a penalty for doing it, unless we're just much better than all of the opposition we play, and we're doing well in spite of me constantly tinkering with everything. It's a good finish from Wilson again, who proving once again he'll score goals for England. He's actually playing today in this second half in the position he plays for Manchester United, out wide on the left as an inside forward. Baffles me that he's not yet natural there, because he does seem to do it for United all the time, but he just always seems to score goals for England. Williamson to take a penalty. I think this will be goal 112 for England if he can score this. And he does, because he's Kevin Williamson, and he's just going to set an uncatchable record for all-time international goals. I think someone said in the comments after the World Cup final that as per 2019 standards, the world record for international goals is 110, and Williamson was on 111 after that. So assuming no one else has gone past that, and I don't think that's a record the game tracks, but assuming nobody else has gone past that total, then Williamson is probably the top scorer ever in international football. I'm taking Goff off purely because he's a home player and we're winning 2-0 and I don't want to break him. He's my best player at home. So he's rarely going to play a full 90 minutes for England anymore unless we really need him, because I want to keep him fit. It also means we get to try Wilson on the right-hand side, get Edmonds on, who, of course, we've seen Edmonds play in very special games for England now, and then just constantly get dropped after doing it. So it's always good to get him back into the team as well. But I think we're going to go with this 4-2-3-1 against Mexico, because it certainly looked a lot better in this second half than we did in the first half. It's a way back into the team for Morgan Potts as well, who I don't think he's the long-term solution for us in that attacking midfield position. He still doesn't play particularly regularly for Liverpool, but then neither does Edmonds, although he probably does. Now I've stolen their first choice left winger at home. I'm looking at this Ireland team. There's a lot of... Turner played for home. Is that Paul Perry in midfield? This is Ollie Steer. It's like a home old boys club playing for Ireland. I feel like home had a midfielder called Helm at some point as well. This could be like three... There's at least 3, maybe 4 former home players in the Ireland side. So, although we had a few of them, like Ollie Steer, who never quite made it as players at home, and Paul Perry as well as another example, these players never quite made it at home, but they ended up becoming international footballers. If we hadn't have advanced as quickly as we had, they'd have been long-term stars for us. We're going to have a look at all 3 of them at the full-time whistle just to see how their careers have progressed, because I'm interested. What a goal from Nix. That was something a little bit special. 3-0 to England. We have been a different team in this second half. The tactical change has done us the world of good, and I think we are going to abandon the 4-3-3 now. He's hit that so hard, it's just cannoned off the goalkeeper. At whatever angle Nix decided he wanted the angle to be at, he just hit it so hard. What a turnaround in that second half. That was insane. I want to be able to say that was much better in the second half. That doesn't seem to be an option. But let's have a look at these Ireland players quickly who used to play for home, just to see if they were good signings. If I perhaps should have used them a little bit more. How do we? Let's go on here. So, number 1 was Turner, Peter Turner, now 28, 60 caps for Ireland now, playing for Watford in the Championship. So, yeah, he perhaps, I don't know. Where's Perry? Perry and Steer both came off the bench, didn't they? So, Ollie Steer, now also 28, only his 3rd cap for Ireland, that was. He's now playing in the Bundesliga for Bochum. He's had a bit of a European tour for his career, Germany and Romania, ever since he left us. And then Paul Perry, he's now 31, 16 caps for Ireland, still playing for Dundalk, where he was when he left us. So, okay, they're not so much ones that got away after all, then. Let's play Mexico. Right, a few changes to the Mexico game. Then firstly, we have gone to the 4-2-3-1. We've kind of swapped players out where we've got the capacity to do it within the squad, but it's still quite an unbalanced squad, mainly because I picked the team largely using the suggested ones, occasionally making the odd tweak here and there. But I tend to do it without any real idea in my head of what system we're going to play, which is problematic because then we don't have players to cover in certain positions. But we are able to give a couple of debuts. Josh Bevan is a 27-year-old goalkeeper, plays for West Brom. I kind of consider him my 3rd choice keeper, but Stephen Carr, the backup keeper, is 33. He's never gonna be our keeper, but Bevan might be at some point. So Bevan gets an opportunity in goal. Cook and Holmes, Cook, Holmes and Hawks, you've seen all of them at the back before. Likewise, Shaw in midfield. Potts comes in midfield along with Edmonds, and we're giving the forgotten man Chris Thompson an opportunity to play up front. He was one of the top scorers in the Premier League a couple of years ago. He consistently scores a lot of goals for Tottenham, but has fallen down to 4th choice striker in the England pecking order. The other 3 started the last game, so Chris Thompson gets to start today. If it doesn't go well, we've got some decent firepower to come off the bench. John Goff becoming captain for the day as well, in his capacity as our best player and the fella I work with on a day-to-day basis. Now he's joined us at home, so obviously he's going to be captain. He's going to be the main man. We should be winning this game with no problem at all. The one issue, I guess, with rotating the team as much as we have for a game like this is that if we don't win it, it sacrifices, I think friendlies count towards world rankings, maybe, do they? Lovely header from Goff to put us 1-0 up. John Goff has already scored 30 goals for England. He's only 27 years old. He's only played about 70 games. For a man who's played most of the last 2 years at right back, for him to be scoring at a goal every other game almost for England shows just how good that player is and why he was worth the £113 million I paid to bring him into home. He's very, very good, and I very much enjoy having him as part of the team. Holmes and Cook are ones I'm particularly keeping an eye on as well, because during the World Cup I was always afraid to rotate the defence at all. Ashworth and Williams played every single minute, I think, of the World Cup, both of them. Smith gets a goal. Has that actually gone down as a Tom Smith goal? Because surely that's an own goal. That's come back off the post, hit the goalkeeper in the back of the head and gone in. I don't see how that goes down as a Tom Smith goal. I've seen those given as own goals many, many times before, but let's have a look at it from the other angle. Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand how that's not an own goal. But he'll take it. I'm sure he'll take it. I'm only planning on playing him for the first half. Nix is going to come on for Smith at the halfway point. Central midfield is one of those areas where we don't really have any more strength and depth in the squad. But yeah, I was afraid to play Cook and Holmes because looking at them, neither of them are actually that great. Cook has barely ever played in the Premier League, couldn't make the cut at Man United, and has been sent out on loan on a European adventure akin to that of Ollie Steer. And Holmes has just been at Southampton for years. I mean, with a name like that, if he was any good, I'd have signed him for home. But no, he's not any good. But then I look at Ashworth and Williams, and although they both play for big clubs, star rating wise, they're no better really than these other two. We just don't really have any good defenders. I'm just picking the ones who are at big clubs, presumably to help with homegrown player quotas. I don't think either of the... I think it's Ashworth who plays for Manchester City. I don't think there's any chance he plays regularly for Manchester City. Oh, Manchester United. I don't think he goes to Manchester. I don't think he's a Manchester United player if he's not English. And where's Williams? Is Williams at Man City then? Yeah, Williams is the one at Man City. Again, I have my doubts how many games he plays for Manchester City if he's Polish. Right, keep it up. We're going to make that half-time change we talked about. Get Tom Smith off. Get Jack Nix on in that box-to-box midfield role. John Goff needs to come off as well. So we're going to bring... Who are we going to bring on? Ben Young, we haven't given any game time to for ages. Primarily a striker. He's never going to get in the team as a striker, but can play in all these other positions as well. We gave him his debut. He scored lots of goals down in the Championship last year. So he can have a go out on that right-hand side, see what he can offer us out there just to protect Goff. I don't want to risk an injury to my star man, to my £113 million asset. The other experiment was Chris Thompson, and as you can see, he's failed it. So I think we're kind of going to forget he exists for a little while now. I think we'll bring Stuart Thompson on. Thompson for Thompson. Stuart Thompson started the World Cup looking like our main man, and then kind of again drifted down the pecking order as the World Cup went on. I'm also going to bring on, I think Nick Wilson is the obvious one to come on this left hand side. Get him more game time out there on the wing, because again, if Stuart Thompson continues looking as good as he's looked at times, I think my front four is probably going to be Stuart Thompson up front, Goff on the right, I guess Potts in behind because we don't have any other option, and then probably Nick Wilson gets into the team on the left wing. Would be the obvious place to play him, unless we go to a 4-2-4 with Wilson up front with Thompson. Shaw now to Nix. Can we get another wonder goal from Nix? Instead he plays it into Potts. Potts back to Shaw. Shaw to Potts again. Potts needs to do something here to justify being in the team in an attacking midfield role. He shouldn't be relying on Shaw and Nix to conjure something up, but he kept playing the ball back to them, saying, you do it. I don't want to have to create. Shaw now with the corner. And it does end up with Nix. Nix looking for a shooting opportunity, ends up floating it over towards Young, I think that was, hovering on that right-hand side. And I think we're probably closing in on the point where we're going to take off Potts and stick another striker on up alongside Thompson. So, who have we got? Kevin Williamson is obviously hovering around. There doesn't seem any reason to bring him on for a game like this. Kavanagh North. He's another one who, if he'd have been born in any other generation, would be classed as one of the greatest strikers in English football history. 48 goals from 102 caps. Spent probably a little bit too long at Leicester, but went to Man City and scored a lot of goals there. If it hadn't have been for Williamson, he'd have scored 80 goals for England. Let's bring him on for Potts and stick him up alongside Thompson. And do that for the last few minutes. We're going to drop a little praise bomb as well, because the lads are doing good. Holmes isn't playing very well. Can we make another change? I don't know how many more changes we've got. Holmes not having the best of game though, so that could be a failed experiment there. I guess we bring Williams on for him and just go back to normal at the back there. Is anyone else on that bench we've not actually ever had a look at? I don't think there is. Porter played plenty of times in the World Cup. We have now seen everybody in this squad play, so it's time to make some decisions about which ones aren't going to make it and start adjusting the squad a little bit for future England call-ups to try and get some fresh blood into this squad, because we need another central midfield player. We only have 3 that are any good. And we need other options out in the wide areas. Edmonds and Goff, once you go past them, there's not much else out there other than the strikers. And it would be nice to find some additional centre-backs as well. Try and find an up-and-coming centre-back, which is a thing that doesn't seem to exist. But there's certainly positions we need to be trying new players out in. And I think there's a few players like Chris Thompson, like North, like Ben Young maybe, who their time in this squad is probably done for now. We need to freshen up in time for the next international break. But solid start to the Nations League qualifying campaign. We continue winning football matches. I thought that was telling me we'd gone first, but it was actually the word list. Oh, we must be pretty close now. How do I see the world rankings? There must be a simpler way to do it than going through here and then to here. We've just got to keep winning games. Keep winning games and we'll get to first place eventually. Maybe. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.